You know how life just throws you curveballs sometimes? Well, this month certainly tossed a wrench in my plans. I was pretty set on drawing some fun things for Halloween. I was either gonna make an illustration out of the shinies I could catch during Pokemon Go's Halloween event as a thinly veiled reason to spend 8 hours on a crazy shiny grind, or I was gonna make some more mascot horror themed Fakemon. Probably the latter because, I'd probably get bored after about 2 hours of shiny hunting in Pogo, and I wouldn't get anything anyways. It turns out, though, I can't do either because apparently I've developed tendinitis, and if I want to be good and make sure I don't make it worse, then I have to slow down on drawing, and writing, and sewing, and typing, and pretty much everything I do for fun and work. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be doing a bunch of typing, but honestly the script's gotta get written somehow, and this is way easier on my hands than writing. So what's a poor unfortunate soul to do when, I can't actually do the thing I've been doing this whole time here? How about something that's been done to death, but I still want to do because, unsurprisingly, I also have thoughts on it. Redesigning shiny Pokemon. Now I could just focus on the heavy hitters like Gengar and Garchomp, but everyone's done them already. Or other ones like Leafeon, but the autumn color palette is what everyone's given it, and I already agree with that idea. I don't really have anything new to add to the table there. But what about something like Kamala? Sure, there's something noticeably different about the normal shiny, but this one's never sat right with me. Checking with the Pokedex entry from Moon, it says that the stump it has is given to it at birth. So what? Its parents just found a random pink and white stump and decided to give it to their child? Or did the parents slap some paint on the stump themselves? Did they hit up some Smeargles to give one of their children a specially colored stump? What's the point of making an object that's separate from the Pokemon, the part that changes? Here, just make Kamala pink instead. Maybe not as vibrant as the pink on the original shiny stump, but pink all the same. Now, there's a shiny Pokemon I'd want to hunt. In general, when it comes to good and bad shinies, opinions are obviously going to be subjective. Some people think some colors look good, while others think the same colors look awful. It's the nature of the game. Green shinies tend to get a bad rap for this reason. Either it's a weird shade of green that doesn't look good with the Pokemon's design, or people just don't like green. Personally, I think there are green shinies that look good. Scizor is one of my favorite shinies for this reason, but I also think this shade of green is great. Lime green is up there as one of my favorite colors. Espeon, though, is a different story. Now, this has grown on me over time. The shade of green gives Espeon this vaguely alien look that ends up working for the design, but I absolutely get why it's unliked. It's even worse when the games have given us a glimpse of a different color palette for shiny Espeon in Pokemon Stadium 2, giving it a light mint green body and a blue gem and dark green eyes. This is honestly peak colors right here. I don't think I could or would want to make anything different. If Espeon had a different shiny, I'd want it to be this. But I still like this little green alien guy all the same. Green gets a bad rap as a shiny color. A shiny being green doesn't automatically make it bad. That being said, there are obviously bad-looking green shinies. The most notorious being Dragonite. Here's the thing I haven't seen people mention though about Dragonite being green. It's a perfect parallel to it being orange when its pre-evolutions are blue. When you look at the color wheel, orange is blue's complementary color. And when you take a look at pink, well, if you look at its complement, it's green. The problem here is that 1, Dragonite is this awful shade of puke green, and 2, pink's complement should be more on the blue-green side of the spectrum. Does this fix anything? Probably not to the degree that people would like. Like I said, opinions are going to be subjective. This is because what people think of color is subjective. People don't experience color the same way. Every person has a different idea of what good colors are. People often put Jangmo-o and its line on the list of worst shinies, but I personally think every last person who does is wrong. They are fantastic shinies, and if you hate it and you get one, then you should give it to me because I will give it the love and care that it deserves. Speaking of subjective shinies, here's a hot take. Not all subtle shinies are bad. When it comes down to it, I do understand why people want a shiny that really sticks out. When you're hunting, you want to be able to immediately notice when that Pokemon shines, and if the shiny is too similar to the original colors, you might miss it. Outside of that, I do think there are some subtle shinies that do still look good. Blaziken is a shiny I wouldn't change much because I think turning the cream color white and turning up the saturation on the yellows and reds does a lot for the design. If I was going to do anything different, maybe I'd make the red darker, but that's it. On the subject of a subtle shiny I would change, Seal. I just make it darker. More gray or brown in color, that's all. Like, I don't think a shiny has to be some super dramatic color shift, but it should be noticeable. Especially when the game seems to be moving in a direction where the shinies are going to be in the overworld, you have to be able to notice that something about the Pokemon has changed. Now in general, I'd like to think I'm pretty good with colors, so sometimes the hard to notice shinies don't bother me as much. But there's a few Pokemon that I think really could benefit from having a really dramatic shiny, specifically very small Pokemon like Tynamo and Tadbulb. Neither of these Pokemon change much, which is a problem when you want to shiny hunt them. You have to be incredibly eagle-eyed to notice the tiny difference between normal Tynamo in water and the shiny. Same with Tadbulb. Orange and red are so similar to one another. Up close, it's a decent shiny, but from afar, absolutely not. Tadbulb is a surprisingly easy fix. When I looked at Bellibolt's colors, I noticed that the same orange on Tadbulb's tail, mouth, and eyes stayed, and that orange still changed to the same reddish color that it does on Tadbulb. But where Tadbulb's main body stays the same color, Bellibolt changes drastically, going from teal to a super bright yellow. So why not take the yellow on Tadbulb and turn it teal? It'd sort of be like shiny Meditite and Medicham, where their shinies are the inverse of their normal colors. As for Tynamo, I do really like that it's blue. The problem is that it's such a pale blue that it just blends into its surroundings and to other Tynamo. I kinda came up with two solutions, but the first doesn't really solve the problem of it blending into its surroundings. I just cranked up the vibrancy on the body. The blue's more pronounced and stands out from other Tynamo, but not from the water it lives in. The second was turning the body green, and while it might still be a bit hard to see in the water, it stands out a little more. Plus, it goes well with the fact that Electros turns green, and personally, I like shiny Electros a lot. I'm sure there's a bunch of Pokemon people would love to see fixes for, and in reality, I don't think I'm fixing anything. The unfortunate thing about YouTube's algorithm is that it thrives on provocative titles, so saying you fixed something is better than saying you've made alternate designs for something. Considering that tendinitis can take months to heal, and I don't want to push my body too hard, I might make more of these sort of videos while I can't draw much. Or if you want to hear me ramble about other art or Pokemon related things, let me know. I mean, coming up with non-art related ideas is surprisingly harder than I thought it'd be. I mean, I guess I could play a game or something, but I would not be a good Let's Player. Anyways, that's an issue to figure out later. If you want to keep up with me, check out my main socials, Instagram and Blue Sky, and follow me there. And yeah, here's to hoping my wrist can heal faster so I can get back to drawing and sewing, because man, there is not a lot I'm interested in doing outside of drawing and sewing.